All right, welcome back to round 2, back 9 of the Greater Peoria Open, hosted by the Peoria Frisbee Club and sponsored by Double Eagle Disc Golf. Once again, if you did not watch the front 9, get over there, watch it now, because I got a special pal with me here in the booth, Dalton Sackett.
Thanks for having me again for part 2. It's always great to be in the booth to watch and commentate on this great event, as I don't actually get to watch much of it. So it's great to see all the action that's going on. Get to see some palling around with Kevin and Micah there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely it's a lot of fun. I manned the camera for this entire weekend, so I'm very proud with how everything's turned out, and definitely great chance to spectate on some really, really good disc golf. If you missed the front 9, we're out here at McNaughton Park in Pekin, Illinois, a gem of a course, been around for a while, playing the long pads. This has been a tried and true layout that's definitely a local favorite. Fantastic course to play on. All right, and we'll jump to hole 10. This is definitely one of the tougher holes. I've got my flyovers flying from another one of the pads, but the long pad is actually up on the hillside, and you're actually playing along this sloped fairway from left to right, pretty much all the way. It's about a 370-foot hole, but it's playing as I believe it's a par 4 today. Forgiving par 4. But we'll see how these players can get up close to the basket. It's definitely possible.
It's definitely possible. It definitely shows its teeth with that slope going from left to right the whole way. I know the short pad down there from where your drone was flying is probably the most preferred with the turnover, so that the disc gets to settle nice. Yeah,
but I mean, this is considered the quote-unquote long pad. It's definitely really challenging because it moves you into that airspace where it makes like the trees bear down on this fairway, and it makes it feel like a very low ceiling shot throw.
Yeah.
And it's definitely hard to keep a disc just going straight for 350 feet. So that's what these players are doing. My camera angle doesn't really do it justice, but Kevin put that one low and into hillside, but it just skips forward into the fairway.
Like, that looks ideal, but unknown what it does up there, because the closer you get to the green, the harder the ground gets, so you don't know what the skips look like.
Yeah, and sometimes you just get caught by a few sparse patches of grass. It'll just kind of suck you down on the ground instead of kick you forward. So, yeah. Gets very interesting.
And this is an interesting play here by Zach to throw a forehand that typically fades out right. So he's fading out towards the downhill.
So risky. And an overturned shot will cut roll. And I think that's actually what this does. I think he hit high on that hillside. It just catches the grass and it shoves it down to the right.
Oh.
Do we see that? Yeah, he's running down there. I forgot about this.
Yeah, that is not an ideal spot. You're doing your best to play for par almost at that point.
Yeah, Northwood Black being infamous for the hackberry rough. That's what this fairway is known for. Oh, good chip out.
Sit down.
Oh, no, that kept going. I think that's like another 30 feet deep, just closer to the basket.
Yeah. At least he's close enough to hopefully get a pitch out.
Right, yeah. And the pier here from Kevin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nestled in quite nicely. He's been throwing that pier a lot and really well.
Yeah, if I recall, getting my glass ball out from the weekend, I think he throws that for all of his touchy up shots. When he doesn't lean on a forehand approach, he's got a pier for that shot that's within 200 feet. Does it really well.
Yeah, Zach.
Good up shots here. Yeah, that was a great pitch out. He must have found a really small, like 6-inch gap to just pipe the disc through. So,
is this Gavin for eagle?
Yeah, I think so.
One time? Just left it short.
Yeah, he missed out on the front. Yeah, I think he's been not really giving those true velocity. He's been kind of like petering out and fading off left. So I think it's just a little bit more of that commitment.
Yeah, it's almost like a half run, just so he knows that he can at least get a easy putt back.
Yeah, I mean, he's not looking shaky all that much. I know that you mentioned on the front nine he's been having some dry spells with his putting this season, but I can tell you as a player who's just recently experienced this, when you lose your confidence in circle 1 putting, your circle 2 also drops too because you're afraid of comebackers.
Yeah.
So it can definitely be worming in your mind. Oh, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hole 11, a par 3, super tight line, downhill. Some guys will try to go over the top of all of that. And they don't make it down. It's going to be in jail. But what a great shot. Just takes pure accuracy. And you see Kevin there. He's lining up the over-the-top shot.
Geez. In my mind, if I were to be honest with you, Dalton, I think that the par should be swapped for hole 10 and hole 11. Like one, I mean, even so, trying to throw just a small forehand chip shot through that tiny gap that they're looking at right there, that's a tough shot. Right. And then to scramble your second shot, too, because that's what it'll end up being. I think it's perfectly fair to change the mindset and make this the par 4 and the last hole a par 3. But, I mean, par is par. I mean, we can all talk about that all day, but most people will end up playing this for 3. Those really high over-the-top shots are just trying to take your best risk at your miss.
Right, and GT, he just peers it down that
sickening. Gap. Ugh. Watching that in person, too. You didn't hear me gag behind the camera, but there was a little bit of that retching going on. Actually, it was you can't really tell here, a helpful wind here, too. I think it was a mild head right to left. So these guys are actually able to pump that just really high and let the wind get them back to the hole. So looking for some positive feedback from Mike. He has nothing, so that means it was I think he'll be our informal spotter for this round, and he'll we'll see a lot of nonchalant shrugs from him, I think.
Right.
So, all right, the forehand here. This is what I try to do with no success every single time I play it. So
I mean, I have no success with a forehand in general, so
fair enough. Oh, that's the way to do it.
With the skip off the hard ground there.
Oh. And he's saying to himself, too, it just needs to get a little bit higher. But yeah, there's the basket, too. Look at that tiny gap, too. And that's like 40 feet short of the basket.
It's like tiny gap to landing zone, tiny gap, green.
All right, Kevin piped it over. He just played Plinko down through the branches and settled into this tough jungle area.
He's got a little line there, though. Yeah, he gave it a good bid.
Went over the basket. That's good.
Oh, Gavin's over there on hole 12 short tee pad.
Spoilers, Gav. Actually, no, we're not doing short, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Once again, just a little short, little left.
It's looking good. It just needs just that little bit more oomph to get it there.
You didn't feed him Wheaties? Did he stay with you for this tournament?
Yeah, he did stay at my house.
No Wheaties at Dalton's house. Don't go there for breakfast. All right, just some routine cleanups here. These guys are well within circle.
This is another favorite part of events that happen in the area of GPO and Ledgestone.
Oh no,
Gav!
I forgot. I'm sorry, Gav.
He's not loving that one. Yeah, definitely not. But yeah, Gavin and Zach Finwall, they stayed at one of my rental house that's currently open now.
Nice.
And them two, Paul Omen,
who's also playing this weekend.
Yep, and Danny Beauchamp.
Debo. Very cool. But anyway, that was a very notorious hole in my mind. I'm not a big fan of that one, and it usually plays well above par. I'll pull up the stats here in just a minute. But
this one here is probably the most insane hole on the back nine.
Mm-hmm.
A completely blind shot over a wall of trees to get to the mouth of this super tight green, guarded by so many trees.
If you got the power forehand like Zach does, which actually, I didn't think that GT had much of a forehand. He doesn't really break it out, but he's giving it a shot.
Yeah, this is the first time I think we've seen his forehand here in round 2.
It looks good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to rack my brain if it had a good result, but yeah, this is perfectly blind shot, right? So we saw the flyover. I had to fly over all of this brush right here and right in front of the tee pad. They're just throwing a blind shot, trying to get it either into the gap to have a long look for a bird, or just play a placement shot out wide so that they can throw a shot in through the gap. So yeah, Kev hangs that one out wide too. I think these guys are looking to kind of hyzer into the gap and have like a 60-footer for.
Because if you reach that mouth, it's circles to edge almost, so it's a nice little stepper jump putt to lay up or get that run in. Looks like Zach tried to give it an actual bid to go in.
Did shift the camera angle a little bit, so I moved on the inside line. But yeah, that one definitely was a little bit higher and more inside. Oh, this is the play I think that usually gets to the pin, but it's so hard to figure out. I think it's a backhand mid-range from Gav.
Yeah, with that subtle turnover.
I think he piped it.
It looked good off the tee.
Yeah. Yeah, if this is the worst of the drives, I think we're in good positions here. So
yeah, and that's that mouth that I was speaking of, where it goes into that tight tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Actually, while Kev's doing his upshot here, dial back to hole 11. Hardest hole on the course for the day. Yeah. Not that I hate difficulty, but I mean that hole specifically, man, it always takes my lunch. And my breakfast and my dinner. It just takes all the meals for the day.
It's that school bully.
Yeah. Yeah, he's shaking me upside down for my pocket change. Oh, coming at me with the forehand scramble.
Yeah, so it did look like he tried going for it with that forehand.
Yeah. Was on the inside like we thought, and he did another forehand, get him out of a tough spot. Yeah. Gav, best chance at eagle here. Or, sorry, bird. Oh. Yeah, it looked like that one caught his finger a little bit of resistance to that putt just coming off clean. And a little bit of a breeze, too. It'll find its way through the gaps here in these trees out here on this course. It'll really come into effect here on the latter half of the back nine, but yeah, GT left that a little bit low. Strong putt from Kevin.
Yep, now it's kind of routine.
You can't say that. I made the mistake on hole 11. And I made Gavin miss his putt.
It's true.
You can't call him routine anymore. Nah, it's all good, though. Yeah, we're getting to I would say probably the more open holes now, moving into hole 13 after this one. Gaps start opening up a little bit more. Players have a little bit more room to move a disc left to right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And starts moving into the forgiving par fours, as I mentioned. So people are looking to put their scoring hats. Yeah, hole 13. 418 foot. This is a par 3, not a par 4, but all of these guys have the arm to get it there. So just wide open space. Really shouldn't be thinking about missing this gap here. The one thing here is this tree. It provides a little bit of a low ceiling to the shots that go straight at it. Not much ground play. There are some dirt patches that might offer some forward movement, but I mean, you really want to get this disc like a slower distance driver, just pumped really hard and let it kind of turn off of that big tree and then fade right back in.
That looks perfect there from Kevin.
Yeah, and he clipped just the bottommost branches there too, so I think he's a little bit long of the pin here in this case, but yeah, that is the shot. If you're a righty backhand, definitely the one you want.
Yeah, you want something that subtle turnover and then fade out there at the end.
Usually throwing my surge on this hole. For the most part is that slower 11 speed for those who struggle to get elite distance. That's what I tend to go for.
And that would be me. I've got baby arms. My goal is to just get it close to the tree.
Yeah, true, right?
Yeah.
At the base of the tree, that's about that 370-foot mark. It's a pretty decent shot for us amateurs. Us AMs. A forehand. Oh, it's low. I think this was what was happening, Zach. We saw that on hole 11 as well. He put his forehand low. He also turned it over on hole 10.
Yep.
So I think it's a common theme. I think he knows what he needs to adjust. This is it. Oh, actually, it's a little too left.
A little too left, but circle 2.
Amateur spot.
Yeah.
Like I said. That's a good... We're taking that all day.
I'm driving just as far as Gavin.
But you need a few trees to help.
Yeah.
I'd say help you out by knocking his disc down.
Right.
Yeah, there it is.
That looks good too by GT.
It's a little bit more fight, and it does.
Yep. Yeah, we had a clinic before the event happened, and there was a long distance competition there, and Gavin pumped one out pretty close to 600 feet. So
was that from hole 18 C-pad?
No, we were at 18's basket, and he threw it back towards. Okay, so it's a little bit of downhill there, but still, I mean, that's more flat ground. Yeah, we'll see when we get there. That is a bomb. Oh,
there it
is.
Yeah.
There you go, bud.
Still a little bit of a slower pace than I usually expect from him, but it was good.
Yeah.
Pro pace, pro line.
Hopefully that putt gets the butter churning.
Yeah. Another knee straddle. I don't have a tally going on, but I should have started a tally from when the first one came out.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, honorable bid from one knee and in the rough.
Yeah, he had clipped one of those little bush branches that shoved the nose down and caused it to ground. But yeah, another knee. I think this one's just for that little tree branch hanging over.
Oh, yeah, Zach left a little meat on the bone and overpowered that upshot and had a tough comebacker.
Yeah, not too slim on birdies, but yeah, it's definitely one of those tough ones to get close enough to have a comfortable putt for bird on it. But a little shaky putt there from Zach, but it's in, and we're moving on. Moving along, right on to hole 14.
Hole 14, tight off the tee, as you can see, all those woods to the right. Then it opens up just a little bit on where that short pad is, and then it narrows down once again with a whole bunch of low ceiling and those branches that just hang out into the fairway. You're just trying to get out to this open gap here for the pitch up to get that easy birdie, or you can go for it all and try to get into that opening where the basket is.
Right, exactly. I think most of these guys are also capable of getting it out there too. Gav, a pretty nice shot. That's a good placement shot. I think it's very slim, but you got to throw it underneath this initial low ceiling. But if you just like almost clip the branches from there, but throw that nice flat shot up over the second bush in the further down the fairway, that's where you can actually get it to kind of hyzer out and fade into the circle 2 range where you could have a long bid for eagle. But yeah, most of these guys I think just throwing like a slower, overstable fairway driver just to get it out there.
Yeah, I think that would look like almost a mid from Kevin there. They're just playing that placement to that first opening.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to, actually think about it, don't need to push too much distance, 250 feet, and then you have a 200-foot upshot, which most of these guys can execute with their eyes closed, so you would think.
Yeah. They're just chipping away at the hole.
I know Zach says he's working on his backhand, but, I mean, those backhand shots that he's throwing look almost effortless. They don't, I mean, look quite as, I'm not saying thought out as other players, but some work to be done. But, I mean, that was an effortless 300 feet off the tee, not working hard, piping it.
GT gets a little foliage there.
More?
Slows this down probably a little bit. Are we making minis?
I was confused.
Almost. I think we looked for the pink disc for a hot second. I forget whose that is. That Kevin's.
He can mark right. You want to mark right?
But we looked at it for a while, and then we found it underneath the other disc. I think what they're talking about here is actually they take the mini away. Both players will play from the same lie.
Yeah.
So I mean the lie is pretty much the same. So both discs are sitting right there. They're just gonna play it how it is. So this is Zach's disc on top.
It's crazy. The odds of landing on top of each
other.
Exactly,
yeah.
Such a tight gap. And that's a great chip shot just to get right next to the basket there. See if Kevin can do the same thing, same exact spot.
Yes.
Literally.
So Kevin got a wind read from
yeah.
Zach. Yeah, these plenty of airspace here. Probably can't really see it from the camera angle here, but yeah, it's super open on the left. It opens up to hole 15's fairway as well, so plenty of space, and that's based. So
Yeah.
no worries there.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that looked amazing.
Yeah,
And
same,
based.
same thing, just a little further up.
Like I said, close their eyes to make it a little bit more difficult, but yeah, like I said, they can do that pretty well. Knee straddle. Once
Another.
again, yeah.
Another.
Stacking up. That's got to be like half a dozen. Yeah, we're definitely in that routine range now. I can say that. That's within the bullseye.
Yeah.
That's truly routine. So.
Hey, with these guys, almost anything in the circle should be routine on how good they are.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I will mention just, I love seeing these guys just slaying the local courses that we haven't seen a whole lot of professional coverage of in recent years.
Great Lakes Disc, located in Grand Rapids, Michigan, is a fully stocked retail disc golf store that fulfills all of your disc golf needs. We carry all of the major manufacturers, accessories, and offer player and event sponsorship, along with tournament payout assistance. To learn more about Great Lakes Disc, visit greatlakesdisc.com.
Thank you again to Great Lakes for sponsoring the media of the Greater Peoria Open. It's always great to have PLD on the camera for coverage here, Greater Peoria Open. And moving on to hole 15, it's not a tight one off the tee, but it definitely gets into a very tight fairway on the second half of it. The miss is going to be left once you get to that gap. If you get anywhere to the right, you're just in jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll have a chance to scramble out on the left-hand side, but I mean, you just saw I barely caught, barely caught Gavin's shot there. He threw a forehand to try to get into the mouth. Honestly, like, this hole, granted, it distance-wise is definitely reachable. People say that this should be a par 3 for these guys, but I mean, that ceiling is so low on the second half of this fairway that you have to throw a distance driver perfectly that just goes right underneath that and glides like to circle one's edge. Like, this is so hard. These guys, yeah, I'd be doing exactly what Kevin's doing, although not quite as good. Just throwing a putter 250 feet down the fairway, and then you have to throw another 180-foot shot, like maybe a mid-range just to try to keep it in the air, because those ceilings, it's like 8 feet at the highest. There's not much space to work with.
And that looks perfect.
Yeah, that shirt looks great.
Yeah.
Nah, that's the downfall of only having a player cam. You can't see it come in. But yeah, I think this is a
GT trying to find his lie here.
Yeah. So for all you new players out there, yeah, this is a rule where if a disc lands in a tree, which there's a special 2-meter rule, which is not in effect here, but it is a special rule where if your disc is over 2 meters, you can get a penalty stroke. But at the same time, regardless of whether that penalty is there or not, you have to find the lie straight down from where that disc is suspended. Put your mini down and then execute your shot. So it looks like he's going to be trying to kind of do a step out. Yeah, that pushes him right. That I can see the psychology there.
Yeah.
It pushes him right a little bit.
Luckily, he didn't get kicked in there.
Yeah. Hits and sits. That's good. Yeah, this looks like a mid-range.
Yeah, mid-range.
Something that glides. Yeah, keeps going. Oh,
got to the ground a little too quick.
Yeah.
Another
one. I think this one's a little bit more interesting too. I don't know if I kept it in here, but obviously, yeah. So Gav's got to mark his lie, then he fishes his disc. I did keep it in here, I think.
What a straddle out around that tree.
Yeah, he's literally right in between those trees. His lie's on the left side. Okay, I did keep it in here. If you can't hear the audio, Zach's actually telling Gavin he's got a little bit more room. He can shift out to the right a little bit more to get more space for his forehand. So Yeah, good team
Dang,
play there.
Yeah, kudos to Finwall there for the sportsmanship, assisting out his fellow card mates.
Let's go down that tangent. While that was a great upshot from Gavin's part, I personally, as a player, I really appreciate being able to give players full ability to exercise what's within the rules, right?
Yeah.
So if you see someone doing something that might not be to their benefit, just voice it and be like, hey, have you considered this? I would be the player that would be one to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a competitor, I would want everyone that I'm playing with to be competing at their best. And if I'm worth anything, if I'm also a top competitor there, that means I'm also competing with people when they're at their best.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like a win-win. You always want to be able to have your competitors compete at their best, because then if you beat them, it's even better.
Yeah, exactly. I know majority of my rounds are casual. I haven't played a tournament in probably 5 years, but when I play with people that they generally do play tournaments, so it's nice to explain those rules to them to give them that knowledge, so that way when they...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're dealing with a little bit of struggles down this low ceiling fairway, as I mentioned before. Yeah, GT kind of bouncing back and forth. Let's see if he can close out here with minimal strokes lost.
Oh, front cage.
He was putting pretty well through the round. I think you'll want to close out the last few holes. Good. Yep, good pop
Good
from
putt.
Gavin. Yeah.
Maybe it was that one. Got it going.
Yep. Routine? Yeah, routine.
Yeah, routine. For sure.
Yeah. Man, these guys doing well. We're getting into very close to the double digits now down, and I've never really ever seen that out here on this course. So I mentioned before, this back nine can get pretty padded with some of the forgiving par fours, but it's still great to see double digits out here, period. But we get to another one, which is very, very interesting. 16's a 459-foot par 4. This is one where, yeah, that natural OB on the right-hand side, that's going to be in a lot of players' heads. We also have the road OB on the left. So this is a really tight fairway with, natural OB on right, actual OB on left. It's a psychological hole, definitely.
I know a lot of players, they like to play this forehand over the road to get it to skip off the road back in bounds. And then,
That's what you risk.
Spoke too soon
Yeah.
on the risk there. And I know a lot of other players, they'll like to throw a backhand roller over that road to curl it back in.
I usually, I'm a terrible roller, I'll say that. I throw the righty backhand roller as well, but I like to land my disc in the grass fairway and have it kind of, just barely work in this major gap between these two bunches of trees. This first one here with that orange marked off culvert, and then the group of trees on the back, and try to have it curl up left of the basket. But I mean, that's a really hard shot to consider, and if this is a par 4, sometimes you should just take your medicine, throw the shot that you're comfortable with, get it in bounds, throw an up shot, and move along. Getting aggressive like Gavin theoretically could have been can cost you pretty big when you're coming down the stretch, because now he's got his third shot from really far back, and that's beautiful.
I was not expecting a forehand down the center there. Usually they're all swung out wide, but if anyone's going to do it on this card, it's going to be Finney.
And I think it's a distance part of it, too. The ceiling is a little bit higher, so you can theoretically get the distance out of there, but the shot requires so much more accuracy, and he executed very, very well.
Yeah.
I think that was, GT on the forehand, too. He gets that one into play.
Oh. Heiser over that right side?
That's fading out, but it's a chance.
Yeah, not a bad shot after going OB pretty early off the tee.
But that is the risk. The forehand skip off the road is a pretty safe shot. It has the most airspace, but if you hang it out too far over, then you have a tough second shot, which is actually your third.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of a cinematic shot here over Kevin's shoulder. He left that a little low on his upshot, but here we go. Circle 2.
Oh, what a shot, Finney.
I'll put this one in.
Oh.
That was the height. He had it. It was the height, just a little right, I think. There it is.
Nice par save.
Yep. And it's good to see that he's closing out on some of those circle 2 shots or putts as well.
Yeah.
So get some confidence. Let's roll that into round 3 and see what that brings for Gavin. But actually, I think we've got a couple other hot scores coming out on this course. Kevin's doing really, really well right now. He's definitely entered the double digits.
I think from what I remember, Paul Oman, I think he shot real hot here at McNaughton that second round.
He did, and I think he'll be rolling into the clubhouse here pretty soon. And I think he's going to end up shooting at a 12 down, which is...
It's incredible on a course like this with so much teeth.
Yeah. And he will have shot a bogey as well. Bogey hole 1 and then 13 birdies throughout the rest of the holes. That's insane. Yeah.
And he never looked back.
Yeah, never looked back. But Kevin's on track to do something similar too. So, hole 17. I mean, this one is just let the big dogs eat. Granted, none of our players are actually going to be able to get there because this is one of the uphill holes.
Yeah, uphill and pretty far, being over 600 feet. You can just pump it out and let it eat and try to just get as far up that hill as possible and
this
chip
actually,
away at it.
yeah, this second shot poses a really unique challenge for disc golfers because it's an uphill shot, but then you crest the hill and then the basket is actually downhill from that crest.
Yeah.
So it's really, really unique on that second shot. You either want to throw like the righty forehand that kind of goes along with the crest of the hill to kind of like dig into that hillside that the basket's on. Ooh. Just barely hit the tree there. That was looking... He probably would have squeezed another 50 feet off that drive if it didn't hit that tree, but it's all good.
Finney with another forehand. Doesn't surprise me for the long distance. He had joked that the long distance should be there should be a forehand only version.
Yeah. See that. He gets that turned over, it straightens out. There's nothing wrong with just being super straight here. Just the straighter you push it off that tee in that direction, the further you're putting yourself away from the basket, but it's only a matter of like 50 feet. Truly it is the uphill angle that matters more so on your second shot. So backhand here from GT, puts that on the inside line towards the players walking off of hole 18's tee pad up there at the tippy top of the hill. Yeah, good shot.
Not bad.
Gav, give it a rip.
And this is where I saw him pretty much pump out a 600-footer during the long drive competition, so I'm expecting this one to go far.
That hit the hillside hard. I mean, like, if that were flat ground and you weren't throwing uphill, that thing was going places. Yeah. This is the finesse line. If you can throw the backhand that just settles, matches the slope of the hill, yeah, that's the risk you run into. It kind of skips left. He's going to be circle 2 left. But you also challenge those pine trees up there on the green have low branches, so you could get caught up at those.
Yeah, and you never know what the pine needles are going to be on the ground, if they're going to catch with the sap or they're going to let you keep sliding forward.
Yeah, and it looks like Zach overturned his forehand approach, so he's going to be kind of by the base of that tree as well.
Yeah, Gavin actually did get pretty far up there. He still kind of had to give that one a little bit of oomph just to get it to the basket.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kev, the longest of our thirds.
That was a good bid.
Yeah, Zach overturned. It looks like he got caught up on the left side of this pine tree. Circle 2. Give it a chance. And he did.
Yeah.
It's a good birdie.
Center pole.
Yep. Gavin, GT right here. Yep, good cleanup.
I was going to say routine, but You said it earlier, so
I don't want that responsibility. I don't want Gavin, your homeboy, coming back here to the area and looking for me, calling him out on routine putts that he misses on occasion.
don't worry, I won't let him know where you are.
Fair enough. All right.
Finishing hole 18, probably the most iconic hole here, just because of how wide open it is.
Mm-hmm.
You can just pump one out the gate in a slight downhill for the first 250 feet. So it helps with that extra carry. And you finish up here with the green. It's wide open. You do have some trees on the left, and there is a lake on the right that can come into play if you turn it over. But I don't think any of these guys are. It's just going to be two big pumps and tapping in.
It would not surprise me. Most of these players should be looking for the 500 to 600 foot mark here. This is a little overturned. That's going to be around that 400 foot mark for him. So he's got like another 450 feet mildly uphill to cover. But yeah, I mean, great shots are about 50 feet, 100 feet long of that hole 17 short tee pad that we see there, just left of the woods on the right-hand side.
Yeah, which is roughly about 150 to 200 past that tree dead center there.
Yeah.
They planted that quite a while ago. Once that thing grows up, this hole's going to be completely different and more difficult.
And that's the shot right there. Just what GT threw. This is the risk you run. It's got to fight, or skip off that pad. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, he's fine. He's good. Obviously, the further right you are actually in this clearing, it's not really easy to tell, but the fairway does slope left to right gently. So if you are on the left-hand side of the fairway, you're more towards the basket height, so you don't have to quite throw uphill for your second shot. But
Very nice.
yeah, I mean, these guys are just throwing semi-overstable discs flat on the right-hand side of this fairway, letting it glide for 400 feet, and then it gently fades off to the center of the fairway. So
Letting the dogs eat.
let him eat. Woof. Finwall, see if you can get close.
Come on,
It's a little low. Yeah. I think he knew what his miss was on that day.
Finny. Yeah.
He was just a little bit low with the forehands.
Oh, yeah. He was perfectly fine. It's like a routine hyzer for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. About a 400, 350 foot upshot for these guys, trying to get it close. As you can see, the haze here, something we didn't mention, we did have a little bit of an air quality spike during this time. It kind of hit that 150 index mark, which
150s, yeah.
unhealthy for some people, but the PDGA has finally formalized that 200 is the index which we take cover. So that has been formalized for us, and it didn't run any risk for us. So I know Dalton would have been making plenty of calls if we got into that range, but
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure would have. My main focus in any tournament or any round is the safety of the player.
100%. Think about yourself. If you're the TED, think about yourself being the player, what you would expect. So, all right, pretty close-up shots here. Oh, Gav, yeah, a little right. He's got that circle 2 look. Put some pace on this.
Get in.
Yeah, that looks like the Gav circle 2 putt that I'm familiar with, but it was just a little low.
Oh, good putt.
Yeah, strong putt from GT.
Putt. Now these guys are finishing out here. Kev's gonna walk into the final round with the lead there.
Absolutely. So as we close up here, final scores, hot round was 12 down, led by Kevin Kiefer, obviously. But as we mentioned before, Paul Oman closed out 1 bogey, 13 birdies, 12 down at McNaughton Longs.
Paul playing as good of disc golf as he does mini golf.
Absolutely. Yeah, which he actually mentioned in his player cam the first round. I was happy to hear that he's a good mini golf player. But yeah, that wraps up our round 2. Thank you guys for joining us. We will have Kevin Kiefer, GT Hancock, Connor Rock, a new face to the coverage for round 3, and Tall Paul coming back. So happy to see those guys for our final round of GPO coverage.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Peyton, for this round 2 coverage. Thank you, Double Eagle, and all the other sponsors for Greater Peoria Open. I love having them. Hopefully, I'll see you next year.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys. Catch you for round 3.